Do you generally prepare all divorce cases as though they are going to go to trial from the very start?
Not necessarily, but I would say, it does take a certain amount of assessment, but you want to start in with discussing that with your client and say, look, is there the remotest possibility that particular issues will not be able to be settled upon? As but one example, I just minutes ago got off a consultation with a potential client, hasn't even hired me yet. And she said, well, I think custody is going to be contested. So prior to even hiring me, I started walking her through, this is the evidence that you need to start getting together. You need to start doing a paper trail. You need to start, audio recording or sending confirmation emails or texts in terms of discussions that you have. Then you want to start gathering the evidence that you have been the primary parent to the child. So that means testimonial letters from the school, from the doctors, from the extracurricular activity heads, from other parents where you've set up the play dates for the child if they're relatively young. You want to start gathering that evidence now. And then if the case never becomes contested, well, then you've done extra, but no one's going to penalize you for that. One of the best cases I saw along those lines, I was actually on the other side where opposing counsel, it was evident they had a consultation with their client before their client ever hired them. They walked them through how critical it was to audio record my eventual client, because my client had serious anger issues. I mean, to the degree that he would threaten to kill his wife. Now, I don't necessarily think, once I got to know him, that he was actually going to follow through on that. He just came across as a person that really, in reality, wouldn't hurt a fly. And it was just, she really pushed his buttons in a certain way that he just flipped out and couldn't control his anger. But she got great evidence for the eventual custody battle. And once the judge heard a sampling of those audio recordings, the judge is like, yeah, no, I'm not going to direct that he even get unsupervised visits. He's going to have supervised visits, and he's going to have to get counseling. And so that's an example of where, you don't necessarily know whether a case is going to get contested, but they started gathering evidence before the divorce case was even filed.